Why does it ache so much when no one is watching you, but you still can't bear to look at yourself? You click on this video, maybe thinking it's just words, maybe hoping for comfort. But this is not comfort. This is exposure. This is the mirror you've been avoiding, dressed in sound. Because somewhere inside you, beneath the curated smiles and filtered performances, there is a truth clawing at the inside of your ribs like it's suffocating in there. And you've become very good, no, exceptional, at pretending you don't feel it. You've mastered distraction like a religion. Scrolls, notifications. I'm fine, but you're not. You haven't been fine since the first time you swallowed a scream just to keep someone else comfortable. And that scream turned into silence, and the silence turned into numbness, and the numbness became the shield you now call a personality. No, most people aren't ready for the truth within them, not because they're weak, but because the truth is loud, and it doesn't knock gently. It roars. It pulls the curtains off your carefully constructed self and throws the lights on in rooms you sealed off long ago. It's not that you don't want truth. It's that truth demands everything. It doesn't just ask for your mind. It comes for your memories, your coping mechanisms, your illusions of control. And so you keep your truth in the basement of your body, hoping that if you don't disturb it, it won't disturb you. But it always does. In the quiet moments, in the way you flinch when someone gets too close, in the dreams that wake you up crying, in the split-second hesitation before you answer, "How are you?" The truth within you is not polite. It is ancient, sacred, and starving, and it knows that you're running out of places to hide. But you've worn the mask for so long, it doesn't feel like a mask anymore. It feels like your skin. It molds to the expectations they handed you before you could speak. Be polite, be easy, be normal, be strong. You became what they applauded, you buried what they feared. And over time, the applause felt safer than authenticity. So you learned to smile with your mouth while your soul wept quietly behind your eyes. You called it maturity. You called it getting over it. You called it being well-adjusted. But you weren't adjusting. You were contorting, shrinking, shape-shifting into what would cost you the least rejection. And it worked, didn't it? You kept friends. You got praise. You fit in. But every time someone said, "You're always so composed," a small part of you died because you knew they were clapping for the performance, not the person. And you let them, not because you're fake, but because you were taught that realness is dangerous, that vulnerability invites abandonment, that showing the full spectrum of your inner storm will make people run. So you silenced the thunder, you dimmed the lightning, you curled your chaos into corners no one would see. But truth is not a quiet guest. It knocks even when you bolt the door. And lately the mask is cracking. You feel it, don't you? The smile trembles now, the laugh comes slower. The emptiness after a good day lingers longer. You're starting to question whether anyone truly knows you, or if they've only ever loved the character you've been forced to play. This is where it begins to unravel, not with a scream, but with a whisper, a slow unraveling of everything you once thought you had to be, because the truth within you has grown tired of pretending. And it is ready to be seen even if it terrifies you. You've lied to your mind so well it started to believe you. You told it you were fine. You told it it wasn't a big deal. You told it you've moved on. And maybe your mind nodded along, eager to file the pain into some archived folder labeled past. But your body never forgot. It stores the truth like sacred scars in your bones. In the way your jaw clenches when you're silent too long. In the shallow breath you take when someone raises their voice. In the tension that never fully leaves your shoulders. Your mind can spin stories, but your body only speaks truth. And it's been screaming through symptoms, through sleeplessness, through that feeling you get in a crowd where you suddenly want to disappear. You call it anxiety, you call it fatigue, you call it stress. But often it's just ungrieved grief, unspoken truths. Your truth trying to get your attention the only way it can. Because you've locked your memories in vaults and thrown away the keys, thinking they would disintegrate in the dark. But memory is not that kind. It's patient. It sits in your tissue, in your spine, waiting. It waits until a scent, a song, a voice breaks the seal. And suddenly, you're not here anymore. You're back in that room. back in that silence, back in that betrayal. You've gotten so good at thinking your way out of feelings, but healing doesn't happen in the mind. It happens in the gut, in the places that tremble before you cry, in the shaking hands, in the knees that buckle, in the breath that finally breaks open. This is why most people are not ready for the truth within them, because the truth is not abstract. It is visceral. It is stored in the very meat of who you are. And to face it is not just emotional, it is physical. It is trembling and sweat and the kind of weeping that tastes like blood. And no one taught you how to be with that. No one taught you how to stay. But the body is done holding the lie. And the shaking, that's not weakness. That's release. That's resurrection. That's truth trying to come home. There's a mirror in your soul you've covered with a sheet. You walk past it every day, pretending not to feel the weight of its presence, pretending not to hear the muffled cry behind the veil. Because you know, if you dare to pull it off, even for a moment, you'll see eyes you've been running from your whole life. Not your enemies. Yours. The version of you that holds everything you've disowned. The rage, the envy, the shame, the need, the uncontrollable longing, the dark hunger you swore you didn't have, the bitterness that contradicts your kindness, the cruelty you thought you buried. You want healing, but do you want to face her? The version of you who wasn't chosen, who wasn't gentle, who wasn't good, the one who begged, who hated, who judged, who broke. That's who lives in the mirror, the shadow self, the secret self, the real self, clawing her way through layers of performance just to say, see me, even here, especially here, but you turn away. Because you were taught that love must be earned through being palatable, that truth must be polished to be seen. But mirrors don't lie. They show you exactly what you are, and that's why you avoid them. Because deep down, you fear you're too much, too loud, too broken, too angry, too weird, too wild. And what if that's all you really are? What if, beneath the mask and the manners, all that's left is chaos? But what you don't realize is that the mirror doesn't just show your mess. It shows your magic, your raw, unfiltered essence, the fire that survived what should have killed you, the rebellion that refused to die. And yes, it's messy, and yes, it's terrifying, but it's real, and realness is the doorway to liberation. You say you want to find yourself, but the one you're seeking is the one you locked behind that glass, and she's still there, waiting, not for your perfection, but for your permission to exist. You think you're safe because nothing hurts too much anymore. The days blur in soft distractions, and you've got just enough pleasure to numb the ache, a job that pays, a bed that holds you, a screen that never stops glowing. It's not heaven, but it's not hell either, so you call it peace. But this is the most dangerous place of all, because comfort can be a cage dressed like a reward. It doesn't scream like pain. It seduces, it whispers, stay here. Don't look deeper, don't shake the ground. It wraps you in routines, offers you certainty, convinces you that your growth is a threat to your survival. So you stop asking hard questions. You stop listening to the ache. You call the numbness balance. You tell yourself the emptiness is just adulthood. You learn to live on the surface of your life, performing wellness while drowning beneath. But deep inside, the truth still pulses like a hidden drum, reminding you that you were not born for sedation. You were not born to die slowly in a life that doesn't feel like yours. And you know this, God, you know this, because the boredom is starting to burn. The small talk tastes like sawdust. The laughter doesn't touch your soul. And in the quiet moments, the truth slips through. A flash of clarity, a wave of grief, a haunting sense that you traded something sacred for something safe. But the world claps for your cage. They call you stable. They call you responsible. They call you successful. And maybe you are. But you also feel like a ghost inside your own body. And the walls, though soft, are closing in. You thought truth would feel like lightning. But sometimes it comes as a dull ache in your chest after another day of nothing real. It's not screaming. It's waiting. Waiting for you to question the comfort. To press against the walls. To remember that a cage, even a golden one, is still a prison, and your truth was never meant to be domesticated. There comes a moment, quiet, almost unnoticeable, when the lie you've been living starts to rot. Not all at once. It decays at the edges. A sigh that lasts too long, a glance that doesn't reach the eyes, a yes that tastes like betrayal in your mouth. You try to keep pretending, keep performing, but it's harder now. The script feels foreign. The smile hurts your face. The lie has become heavy, like dragging a corpse you once mistook for your identity. And every time you speak from that old voice, something inside you flinches. The fracture widens. You used to be able to silence the truth with noise, a drink, a plan, a new project, a relationship. But now, nothing numbs it for long. Because the lie no longer protects you, it punishes you. It keeps you up at night. It hijacks your dreams. It leaves you crying without knowing why. And that's the moment it happens. You realize the pain of hiding is worse than the fear of being seen. That even if the truth breaks you, it would at least be honest. You'd rather bleed in truth than breathe in illusion. And so the rupture begins, not as a dramatic collapse, but as a sacred surrender, a whisper that says, I can't do this anymore. And that whisper, that's the voice of your real self, emerging through the wreckage, tired of wearing someone else's skin. But don't mistake this moment for healing. This is still death, the death of the identity you crafted to survive, the crumbling of the altar you built to be accepted. And it hurts. It will hurt. But this time the pain has direction. This time the pain is honest. This time the pain is movement, downward, inward, toward the truth that has been waiting beneath the rubble. Most people turn back here. They see the fire and think it's destruction. But you're beginning to see it for what it is. A burning away, a holy undoing. The lie is dying, and your truth is rising from the ash. You don't remember the exact moment the mask began to fall. Maybe it was when you couldn't fake the laugh anymore, or when your silence turned from restraint into revolt. Or maybe it was quieter than that, an exhale you didn't realize was held for years. But something in you broke, not violently, but completely. And for the first time, you didn't rush to fix it. You didn't tape the cracks. You didn't call it a bad day. You let the collapse happen. And in that stillness, you felt it. The mask wasn't just a disguise. It was a shield, a performance, a language you learned to speak so you could be loved, so you could belong, so you could stay alive. But now, you're tired. The kind of tired that no sleep can touch. The kind of tired that comes from being someone you're not for too long. And as the mask begins to crumble, you're not just grieving a lie. You're grieving the version of you who needed it, the child who learned to smile when they were in pain, the teenager who learned silence kept them safe, the adult who built a personality from pieces that never truly fit. You want to run back, don't you? To the performance, to the safety, but something in you knows it would kill you now, not your body, your soul. You've gone too far to return to the illusion. And though you don't know who you'll be without the mask, you're beginning to feel the warmth of your real face beneath it, raw, unfiltered, uncertain, but alive. And in this liminal space, this threshold between death and rebirth, you realize losing the mask is not the end. It's the beginning of intimacy with yourself, with the divine, with everything real. And yes, it's terrifying. Yes, it's lonely. But nothing is lonelier than being loved for who you are not. So let the ashes fall. Let the mask rot in peace. The real you has been buried long enough, and the dirt is starting to shake. No one tells you that awakening feels like violence, not against others, but against everything false within you. It is not a sunrise. It is an earthquake, a shattering, a ripping open of the quiet places you tried to keep untouched. You thought truth would be soft, but it comes like a storm, uninvited, undeniable, unraveling every identity you used to survive. This is not the lightness you imagined. This is sacred destruction, a holy breaking. And it is not happening to you. It is happening through you. You're not losing your mind. You're shedding the one that was never fully yours, the one built from other people's expectations, from wounds disguised as wisdom, from fear masquerading as personality. It feels like dying, because in a way, you are. The self you spent decades building is falling apart. The lies you whispered to feel safe now feel like poison on your tongue. You rage, you cry, you disappear from your old life without explanation. You disappoint the people who only knew your mask. You stop answering messages that once gave you validation. And in the silence that follows, you meet yourself for the first time. There is no applause here, no guide, just you, your trembling hands, and the unbearable clarity of your own reflection. You want to numb it, escape it, but something sacred keeps pulling you back. This is not breakdown. This is break open. The fire is not here to burn you. It is here to burn away what you are not. And the pain? It's precision. It's the scalpel of the divine, cutting out everything untrue. So bleed, scream, shake. Let it take what it came to take. You are not being destroyed. You are being initiated into truth, into presence, into the terrifying beauty of who you actually are. And when it's done, when the dust finally settles, you will not be the same. You will be real, and from that raw place, the truth that once terrified you will feel like home. You don't arrive with fanfare. There is no parade for the soul returning to itself. Just breath, deeper than before. Just silence, heavier, holier. You look around and realize nothing outside you has changed. The world is still spinning. People still wear their masks. But you are different. Not louder, not brighter, just truer. There's a stillness in your bones now, the kind that doesn't need to be understood to feel real. And in that stillness, the truth no longer feels like a threat. It feels like a pulse, like memory, like home. You spent so long avoiding this place, this raw, unpolished you, because you were taught it was too much, too broken, too strange. But now that you're here, now that the masks are in ash and the lies are no longer warm, you see it. The beauty, the rightness of your own reflection, not because you're perfect, but because you're whole. Every scar, every shadow, every ache that once made you feel unworthy is now part of the sacred map back to yourself. The truth within you was never cruel. It was never here to shame you. It was only waiting, patiently, quietly, through every distraction, through every performance, through every night you begged to be someone else. It waited for this moment when the pain became a compass, when the silence became a voice, when you finally stopped running and said, I'm ready. And now here you are, not healed, not finished, but honest. And that is everything, because the truth within you isn't something you find, it's something you remember. And now that you've remembered, you will never again forget who you are, no matter how loud the world gets, no matter how many masks they offer you. You have tasted yourself, and nothing less will ever satisfy you again.